Welcome to Nourishing the Mother, an inspired conversation space between Bridget Wood and Julie Tenner on the journey of motherhood through the common thread of parenting, relationship, and sexuality as a path to consciousness.
We keep our conversations honest, our experiences real, and our philosophies exploratory. We believe that in order to raise incredible humans, we first have to raise ourselves. We know that in order to rock the family, you've got to nourish the mother. If you are here, you care about paving a path of conscious and intentional motherhood, connected with yourself and your gifts, and also illuminating your children in theirs so we may raise more whole humans who can impact this world in a more humane way.
If you desire to integrate your learnings practically and supportively, head on over to bridgetwood.life or julietenner.love to go deeper. And for all live streamed pre-release podcasts and all our free content, head over to our free Facebook group, Nourishing the Mother with Bridget Wood and Julie Tenner. We are Julie Tenner and Bridget Wood, and we are so grateful you're here.
Hello and welcome to Nourishing the Mother. I'm Bridget Wood.
And I'm Julie Tenner. And today's podcast is part 2 of this beautiful listener's email. And what we are calling it is, why can't I ask for help? And it's certainly a question I have asked myself many times. How about you?
Absolutely. And it totally plays into, the story of like thinking that I should be able to do it all. Right? The internalized perfect mother myth that means that you can never let anything go.
Yeah.
So I'm going to read for the first time for this podcast part of this beautiful series of questions from this listener. So she says, but here's my problem. The repeated pattern of not or feeling like I am unable to ask for help. We've had conversations before and I know all my signs of overwhelm, of martyrdom, of putting everyone else first and trying to control everyone and everything around me as to not tend to myself and my needs, and then resenting everyone around me. So I know this pattern. So why is it so fucking hard to ask for help? What am I not seeing? What leaves me feeling like he should see what is going on? For him to take equal responsibility for the emotional and mental well-being of parenting and family responsibility? Is it wounded and underempowered feminine, shooting all over the place with what I should be able to do? Clearly this pattern is repeating and repeating, and I'm staying here in the pain of it all, so I haven't learned my lesson yet. And honestly, I thought by now I would have. Clearly, I like this soundtrack. Oh, God,
I know you and I, totes, right? Yeah, I was about to say that too. So what we thought might be a really beautiful honouring for this podcast is to treat it a little bit differently. And our invitation to you is to get out a pen and paper or a note on your phone, and we're going to ask you the questions that we would, if we were in session with this woman, we would most likely guide her through one or several of these. So instead, we can use this as a beautiful springboard because we know what's going on for this listener is going on for all of us on some level, right? That's the beautiful entanglement with which we all live in this quantum field. So we're going to treat this like a conscious journaling session. So I'm going to ask the questions. Bridget, and the invitation is to, after we've asked the questions, if you would like more context, Bridget's going to give it. If you don't, you're already you have a ping moment, then just press pause, write out whatever you need to write out, and then press play for the next question and just keep treating it that way. And I promise you'll get some pretty profound insights that you get to create for yourself, which is even more cool.
So cool. So let's dive in.
Question number 1. Why can't I ask for help?
So just let the stream of consciousness come out. Why can't I ask for help? What happens if I ask for help?
Question 2. What will happen if I ask for help? I would also offer to you here that if you start with one question, then just keep asking yourself, okay, and then what will happen, and then what will happen, and then what will happen, and see where you get to. Question 3. What does that mean?
So what we want to do here is actually dig underneath the words you're writing, the statements you're making, to actually see what meaning you've made about them and about you.
Question 4. Where have you felt this before?
We ask this because all human behavior is patterned. And so we all of us run patterns. Some of us we're conscious of, some of them we're unconscious of. And this process will help you unearth what is unconscious. So we want you to follow the thread back to where have you felt this before?
Who am I worried will judge me?
Whenever we should on ourselves, we have this noise in our brain. It's usually because we've internalized the opinions or the views or the belief systems of somebody else. And so asking this question will help you see whose voice it is clouding the strength of your own.
Why should I be able to do it?
This will help you see more of that voice, more of that internalized perfect mother myth that is getting in between you and your own truth.
Who am I if I can't do it?
This is a beautiful question for seeing your attachment to your own identity or your own belief about who you are as a person. It'll help unveil aspects of perhaps shadow that are inviting you to explore them.
What does it mean if I can't do it?
This will help you see what you think failure is and help you see whether that's really true.
This podcast is brought to you by what we have going on in the world right now that you can dive deeper, dip a toe into, or explore a little more. So over at julietanner.love, we have all things Lovers School happening. So Lovers School begins on April 18. It's a beautiful container just for the couples, so you can have a space to explore yourselves, your connection, your sexuality, your relationship, your communication, that you have content you can watch at your own pace. You have me available to you for 6 whole weeks, and you have 2 workshops that you can join in as much or as little as you like. There's no pressure. This is just a space for you to dedicate to you and your relationship. And Bridgie.
Yes, and over at bridgetwood.life, you can check out Flow Mind Body Mothering, which is all things managing, uncovering, and expanding your energy in your parenting. It's all about seeing dynamics in your relationship with your child and your broader family. It's about tuning into who your child is and becoming, and about really equipping yourself as a mother with more tools to help you feel lush and expanded in your mothering journey.
Then there was a theme in this listener's question that was, why can't my partner see what I see, and why can't it be equal in the level of responsibility and emotional holding that we have? So what we're going to ask you here is to start getting really clear about values and really clear about the fact that we all see the world differently.
Mm-hmm. So if we were to each, all of us, see the same things, our brains would figuratively explode, because we simply just cannot. There is too much in our world to perceive. And so in the home even, we joke about how it's like they don't even see the thing on the floor and they walk around it 100 times, probably because they literally do not see the thing on the floor. Right? They've filtered it out. There's other things in the environment that are calling to them more strongly than that thing. But that thing's calling to you most strongly, right? Because of your own values. And so if we don't understand this and keep this front of mind, then we can very quickly feel like we're not seen, we're not heard, we're not valued, like you're on different planets. And so it's important to see, okay, well, where are they? What I say that they're not, but in a way that's unique to their values. So where are they responsible? Where do they plan ahead? Where do they show that they're caring for the rest of the people in the home? Because they will be. It just looks very different to your set of values.
So just getting really clear on where is your partner equally holding responsibility. So you can look, as Bridgie said, in the same area of life that you're seeing that it's missing. Where is it present? The form will just be different, but not the area of life. Or you can look for it more broadly around where is the equal holding and responsibility and accountability that you're perceiving in the home? Where does it exist for them in all of their different areas of life? So you can see you're both holding equally. It just where you're holding is different, and that's based on literally your values and what's most meaningful. So when you can see the equal responsibility, and if you can't, then you're not looking in a way to prove your own set of convictions wrong. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. So there can be an attachment to needing to see your partner in a certain way. And because if, you know, we perceive them that way, then it strengthens our identity, perhaps, or it strengthens our position or our challenges. But and it's great for the stories we tell ourselves, but it's not so great for the connection and support that we're seeking. And so why we want to mine and drill down here is to see that, okay, well, if my set of values mean that I've got family number one, but they're working all the time and they're talking about business deals, so they've got business number one, then what is the value to me of them dedicating all of their energy and attention over there? Because if I'm sitting over here resentful and disconnected to them, then I'm clearly not seeing how much of a beautiful service that is to me. And so I need to ask better questions.
So can you see how this equal responsibility is representative or linked to, tied in with their top values? And then once you're like, yeah, I can see that's their top values, Julie and Bridget, then we're asking you to see how that serves you and your top values, not how it's in the way, how it amplifies, holds, creates space for, creates momentum for, how it benefits your expression of top values. Now, we also recognize this one is probably a little bit more advanced, maybe tricky if you're a newbie to our spaces and podcasts to do on your own. That's okay. You don't have to do it. The invitation would be to come in either one of our spaces to be able to be facilitated in a way that can deepen this. But this is, we're here to literally go, hang on a minute, let's widen our perception so that our world widens with it. And that's what we're asking you to do here. Widen your perception, balance your emotions, live a better life. The last one is you will crave to be seen by others to the degree that you are not seeing yourself. So, where are you not seeing, meaning valuing, giving recognition or validation to yourself? If that question feels too tricky for you right now, then ask it of yourself this way. What do I wish, crave, long for my partner to witness, to acknowledge, to say, or to see in me? Because they are the things you're seeking for yourself, right, Bridge?
Yeah, it's a beautiful revealer, because it's like, I want so much to be relished and seen and admired and just witnessed in all of this by the person that I love. What if I was to turn that mirror back on myself and ask myself in all of the ways, what would it be like for me to see that, for me to celebrate that, for me to appreciate myself?
What does that look like for you? How do you see and appreciate yourself?
Yeah, it's such a practice, isn't it? Because I think we're just so it's just so odd in our culture to actually take a pause and do that, because we're so outward oriented, we're so outwardly focused. And so for me, I think I do a lot of it in terms of keeping the pulse of the relationships that I have with my children and with my husband, but, you know, largely with my kids, like recognizing in all of the ways that I seek to speak to them, that I seek to communicate in their values, that I seek to, you know, create an environment in which that they thrive. I look at that and I try to look at it in a way that drops an agenda for how they should see me or appreciate me, and me simply do that practice out of a devotional act for the relationship and who they get to grow as a byproduct of that relationship or my intention. Does that kind of make sense?
Well, it makes sense to me.
That, yeah, if I can be really solid in what feels like integrity for me, then I don't need anybody else's approval. Because I've given it to myself. But then, funnily enough, it usually comes. Like, it comes because I've seen it in myself.
Yeah, well, it's because it's not needy, right? It's not like this like kind of energy to it. It's just like, I'm here. Do you like you can come love it if you want. If you don't, that's cool. Yeah.
Like, I'm here choosing this, whether I get celebrated in that choice or not.
Yeah.
Or I get celebrated in that devotion or not.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like that whole, it's cool, man. You do you, I'll do me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does it look like for you?
What does it look like for me to see myself? Like you, keeping a pulse on my relationships with my children and my husband, so that I really consciously make myself pay attention and be present to the moments where I'm like, holy shit, there it is. You know, like, there it is. There's that thing manifested. You're living it right now that you wanted, dreamt about, thought about, desired for however many years ago. There it is.
Oh my God, I love that.
Right here.
Yeah.
Look at that. You know, and when one of my kids does or says something and I'm like, holy shit, there I am. You know?
Yeah.
I talk about legacy.
Yeah. Oh, like, and like when I see my kids, like even Pearl, like if something, if one of the ones is hurt and I see the way she moves in, you know, and offers comfort, and like, that's because that's just what we do. Right? Or I see, you know, when my kids are not like squabbling about something, but I see the way my son now, like, will just have this, I don't know, this like moral compass or something where I'm like, oh, I see myself in that. And then I'm like, wow. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
Well, it's so beautiful to witness those moments and see your own hard work. Like I feel like it's like reaping the rewards, like harvesting the crop that I planted however many years ago. But I really let myself harvest that moment.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to be an outward experience. It doesn't have to be wildly celebrated or seen by other people, but I really let my heart feel the harvest. And also celebrating myself for thought pathways or things that would previously have tripped me up that don't anymore.
Yeah, that's a cool one.
So
just
I also
to kind of go, oh, no, that's gone. That thing's gone. Like, which is
yeah. Oh, yeah. Or I see, you know, someone else react in a different way and I'm like, yeah, I used to do that. I just don't need to anymore. But I get it. Huh. Look at that growth. You know, like you know, when you have those moments where you just witness your own growth, it's like you don't witness your children's growth because you live with them all of the time. You don't see them. And then you know, you see the someone so-and-so down the street and they're like, oh my God, the kids have grown so much. And they're like, have they? I haven't noticed.
Yeah.
It's a bit like that with ourselves.
It's true. It's an interesting one, isn't it?
Yeah, so I really like to take those moments of just witnessing my own growth, just because of how I show up differently in a moment, or what I knew would have used to have been a, what do you call them, a pothole? Pothole? Yeah. What would have used to have tripped me up and sent me into a spiral now doesn't. I'm like, well, that's cool. So I just take a moment to celebrate that. And I really, really, really have a practice at honoring compliments. I mean, that's a podcast in itself, really, isn't it? I was about to go breathe that in and go, there's so much I have to say about that. But that's a podcast in itself.
We do that. I think we should podcast on that in terms of receiving.
Yeah, I think it's a really good idea. We should do that. So I just wanted us to dive into that, because when we say you've got to see yourself, I often think women don't know what that means because it's never been role modeled. And our culture doesn't even want us to.
Yeah, right. Like there's a huge attachment to us feeling in lack. There's a huge whole industries that thrive on our feelings of never being enough.
Yeah, so just small, really small, simple ways of saying, and even I would say, Ashley, I would just quickly add on to that is being seen in the struggle. Like I just want to be seen in the struggle by my husband.
Yeah.
I want him to see me for how hard I have worked, how much conscious energy I have brought, how hard I have fought or struggled or battled in a day. Like I don't want that battling to just be like water under a bridge. I want to be like, I fucking went to war today. I need that seen.
That's actually a really good point. Even we went to Queensland just the other weekend, and my husband commented afterwards, he's like, you're just so amazing with these kids. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to receive that. Like, because I know that the amount of work it's taken for me to build the skill set that I have means we can have the most amazing holiday, because I'm not afraid of anything. Like, I'm not afraid of any emotion they're going to bring. I'm not afraid of like how they're going to be in a space, because I can move with it. And he really, I think, recognized that and appreciated that really deeply. And it was really nice to just be seen.
It's really beautiful.
Yeah. So, yeah, we need to appreciate ourselves and also really practice hearing and feeling and receiving those words when they come back to us.
Yeah, totally. So connecting with us deeper, nourishing the mother on all of the social platforms. Bridgie, what have you got going on?
Yeah, the Reimagining Motherhood community. It is just a beautiful space that I adore showing up in, and we have the most incredible, intelligent, wise women coming together to just really support everyone who is seeking to do motherhood in a way that does, challenge the status quo and does really call us to our own growth, but in a really not a heavy, hard way, but in a wow, look at this kind of way, which I think is what makes it sustainable. So you can find out more about that at bridgetwood.life. And Jules?
I have Lovers School beginning on April 18. So it's a beautiful evergreen course content and 2 full 2-hour workshops with me that's just centered on you two as a couple, and you can join virtually. You can watch the course at your own pace. You have me for 6 weeks to ask questions and facilitate you really gently and beautifully into deeper connection and or better sex. I just want you to have the type of intimacy where you can communicate and you can open hearts, bodies, or minds in the way that you want to. So that's what Lovers School is for you two as the lovers. And you can find out more at julietenner.love.
Remember to nourish the woman, to rock the family.
And we'll see you next week when we continue to peel back the layers on your mothering journey.
Thank you so much for listening. We literally couldn't do this without you. Please share this podcast with anyone you think it would be medicine for.
If you desire to integrate your learnings practically and supportively into your life, then head on over to bridgetwood.life or julietenner.love to go deeper.
And if you feel like giving back a little to this free content, please rate us on iTunes or Facebook, all of which helps the podcast reach more mamas who need this type of tonic for the soul.
This has been a production of TheWellnessCouch.com. Check us out on Facebook and join in the conversation on Facebook.com/TheWellnessCouch. Subscribe to each show on iTunes and check us out on Twitter. The Wellness Couch, streaming wellness into your lives.
Whilst the Wellness Couch presenter endeavour to provide accurate and helpful information to their listeners, these podcasts cannot take into account individual circumstances and are not intended to be a substitute for health and medical advice from a qualified health professional. You should always seek the advice of a qualified health professional before acting on any of the